The emergency alert blared through every corridor of Orion Station, its piercing wail cutting through the usual hum of machinery and murmured conversations. General Elena Reyes stood rigid at the command center's observation deck, hands clasped tightly behind her back as she gazed out at the vast expanse of stars. 30 solar systems. That's how far humanity had expanded since breaking the light-speed barrier a century ago. 30 worlds teeming with human pioneers, scientists, and dreamers, all now in imminent danger. General, Major Marcus Lee's voice broke her concentration. The transmission from the Galactic Council has been authenticated. Elena's jaw tightened. The Galactic Council, a conglomerate of 17 advanced alien civilizations that had maintained order in this sector for millennia, had always viewed humanity's rapid expansion with suspicion. But this was beyond anything they had expected. "Display it," she commanded, turning to face the holographic projection that materialized in the center of the room. The alien figure that appeared was tall and slender, with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights of whatever grand chamber it was transmitting from. High Counselor Zekathara of the Vorthax species, one of the founding members of the Galactic Council. People of Earth. The alien's voice was eerily melodic despite the gravity of its words, translated perfectly by the station's AI. The Grand Assembly has convened and reached a unanimous decision regarding your species' continued violation of spatial boundaries. Effective immediately, all human activities beyond your native Sol system are to cease. You have 72 Earth hours to evacuate all colonies, outposts, and vessels. Any human presence detected beyond the Kuiper Belt after this deadline will be considered an act of war against the Galactic Council and its member species. Elena felt the blood drain from her face as murmurs erupted around her. Evacuate 30 colonies in 3 days? It was physically impossible, even if they had the transport capacity, which they didn't. This ultimatum is non-negotiable, Zekathara continued. The Council has observed your rapid militarization and unchecked expansion with growing concern. Your species' history of internal conflict makes you unsuitable for participation in galactic affairs. Return to your homeworld, and perhaps in another millennium, the Council will reconsider your status. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the command center in stunned silence. They can't be serious, Marcus whispered, his normally composed demeanor cracking. Oh, they're serious, Elena replied, her mind already racing through options. None of them good. And they've just declared war on the entire human race. As if to punctuate her words, the station's alarm system blared again, this time with a different, more urgent pattern. Multiple unidentified vessels emerging from hyperspace, called out Lieutenant Commander Saito from the sensor station. Configuration matches Galactic Council warships. 500 signatures and counting. Elena's eyes narrowed. So the ultimatum had been a formality. They never intended to give humanity 3 days. This attack had been planned well in advance. Battle stations, she ordered, her voice calm despite the chaos erupting around her. And send an emergency quantum burst to Earth Command. Authorization Phoenix Protocol. Marcus looked at her sharply. Phoenix Protocol? That's a contingency for exactly this scenario. Elena cut him off. One we hoped we'd never need. Before anyone could respond, the station shuddered violently as the first barrage of enemy fire struck its outer shields. 2 frontier outposts in the Proxima system have gone dark, reported Saito, her voice steady despite the gravity of her words. The Council fleet is methodically targeting our communications infrastructure. Elena nodded grimly. They're trying to isolate our forces before we can organize a response. She turned to Marcus. Activate stealth protocols on all vessels in the Vega and Tau Ceti sectors. I want our ships to go dark and maintain absolute communications silence until they receive the Phoenix signal. As the command center erupted into coordinated action, a final transmission broke through from the Galactic Council fleet. Surrender or be eradicated, Zekathara's voice echoed. Humanity's place is on Earth, not among the stars. Elena's eyes hardened as she watched the tactical display showing the overwhelming Council force advancing toward human territory. 500 vessels against Earth's scattered defensive fleet of barely 200. "We've never been good at staying where we're told," she murmured, before addressing the command staff. "They think they know us. They think we'll break easily." Her voice rose, steel entering her tone. "They're about to learn how terribly wrong they are." The next 48 hours were a blur of retreats and losses. The Council's attack was swift and overwhelming, targeting communication relays and smaller outposts first, systematically isolating each human settlement from the others. Elena coordinated what defense she could from Orion Station, but she knew they were merely buying time. Time for Earth Command to implement Phoenix Protocol. On the third day, as Orion Station's shields began to fail under relentless bombardment, the quantum communicator in Elena's private chamber activated. The face of Admiral Chen Zhang, head of Earth's Defense Council, appeared in the projection. "Phoenix Protocol is authorized, General Reyes," he stated without preamble. "All fleet commanders have received their sealed orders. The counteroffensive begins in 6 hours." Elena exhaled slowly. "Understood, Admiral. Orion Station won't last that long." The Admiral's expression remained impassive. "Your escape vessel is prepped in Hangar Bay 7. Your role in what comes next is crucial. Elena, survival is your priority." "And the station personnel?" "Evacuation pods are pre-programmed to scatter toward 3 different rendezvous points. The Council won't be able to track them all." Elena nodded. "It's been an honor serving with you, Admiral." "This isn't over, General," Admiral Zhang replied. "It's barely begun. Earth out." As the transmission ended, Elena activated the station-wide evacuation protocol. Across Orion, personnel rushed to designated escape pods, while security teams created diversions to mask their departure. Elena made her way to Hangar Bay 7, where a sleek, stealth corvette awaited, the Nightshade, one of Earth's newest vessels equipped with experimental technology that, in theory, could evade the Council's detection systems. "General on deck," Marcus called as she entered the bridge. He was already there, along with a skeleton crew of 5 other officers. "Status report," Elena demanded, taking the command chair. "Orion Station's evacuation is 80% complete," replied Lieutenant Rodriguez from the communications console. "Council vessels are targeting the primary reactor core." "They want to make an example of us," Elena said grimly. "Divert all power to engines. We launch immediately." The Nightshade detached from the dying station, just as the first Council vessels broke through the outer defenses. Accelerating to maximum speed, the corvette engaged its stealth systems and slipped past the enemy blockade, becoming virtually invisible against the backdrop of space. From the relative safety of their escape, Elena and her crew watched as Orion Station, humanity's proudest achievement beyond the Sol system and home to over 2,000 personnel, erupted in a blinding flash of light. The Council had sent their message. "Take us to Vega Colony," Elena ordered, her voice tight with barely controlled fury. "We have a war to win." Phoenix Protocol was humanity's darkest contingency plan, developed in secret by military strategists who had always feared that first contact with advanced alien civilizations might not be peaceful. It operated on 3 core principles: decentralized command, asymmetric warfare, and technological surprise. While the Galactic Council believed they were facing a disorganized, retreating enemy, Earth's military had been preparing for this possibility for decades. As the Nightshade approached Vega Colony, Elena was greeted by the last thing the Council would expect: a fully armed and operational human battle group, hidden beneath the dense atmosphere of Vega Phi's largest moon. Colonel Javier Diaz, commander of the Vega Defense Force, welcomed Elena aboard the dreadnought Thermopylae. "The Council doesn't know about this facility," he explained, as they walked through corridors bustling with determined personnel. We've been operating under emissions control protocols since we detected their fleet entering the sector. How many ships? Elena asked. 43 combat-ready vessels, Diaz replied. Not enough for a direct confrontation, but perfect for what we have planned. Elena finished for him. Has Dr. Patel arrived with the prototype? Diaz nodded. 3 days ago. Her team has been working around the clock to install the systems on our strike craft. Dr. Aisha Patel was Earth's leading expert on quantum physics and the architect of humanity's most closely guarded technological breakthroughs. If anyone could give them an edge against the overwhelming technological superiority of the Council, it was her. They found Dr. Patel in a heavily secured laboratory deep within the moon base, surrounded by holographic displays and complex equipment. Her team of scientists worked feverishly around her, making final adjustments to what appeared to be a small metallic sphere, no larger than a human fist. General Reyes, Patel greeted her without looking up from her work. I was beginning to think you wouldn't make it. The Council made sure of that, Elena replied dryly. Is it ready? Patel finally looked up, dark circles under her eyes, betraying her exhaustion. The nanoswarm is ready for deployment. We've programmed it specifically to target Council technology. It will disrupt their communications, navigation, and weapon systems. And the plasma scorcher? At this, Patel's expression became more guarded. That's still experimental, General. We haven't had time to run proper containment tests. We're out of time, Doctor, Elena said firmly. The Council has already destroyed 2 outposts and Orion Station. They're systematically eliminating human presence in the galaxy. We need every advantage we can get. Patel sighed. The plasma scorcher can cut through Council shields like they're not even there. But the energy requirements are enormous, and the discharge is difficult to control. It's as likely to damage our ships as theirs, if deployed incorrectly. I'll take that risk, Elena stated. How soon can it be installed on our vessels? The first batch of fighters can be equipped within 12 hours, Patel replied. But, General, I must insist on being present for the initial deployment. If something goes wrong... Agreed, Elena cut her off. You'll join the command staff on the Thermopylae. She turned to Diaz. Colonel, I want those fighters ready to launch in 14 hours. Our first target is the Council patrol group near the IO mining facility. That's one of their stronger contingents, Marcus cautioned. At least 30 vessels. Exactly, Elena nodded. If we can take them by surprise and demonstrate the effectiveness of our new weapons, it will send a message to the entire Council. We're not retreating. We're not surrendering. We're fighting back. As they finalized their plans, Elena received a secure transmission from an unexpected source, a Council diplomatic vessel requesting safe passage to the Vega moonbase. The sender identified himself as Ambassador Veros of the Vorthax species. It could be a trap, Marcus warned. Or it could be our first potential ally within the Council, Elena countered. The Vorthax were one of the few species that opposed the ultimatum, according to our intelligence. After implementing stringent security protocols, Elena allowed the small diplomatic shuttle to dock. Ambassador Veros emerged, tall and slender like all Vorthax, but with distinctive blue markings that denoted his high rank within their society. General Reyes, he greeted her with a formal bow. I come without the knowledge or sanction of the Galactic Council. A dangerous position for you, Ambassador, Elena replied cautiously. Not as dangerous as the path the Council has chosen, Veros responded. Many of us disagreed with this aggression against your species, but High Counselor Zekathara overruled all opposition. The attack was planned months ago, long before any formal vote was taken. Why tell us this now? Marcus asked suspiciously. Because what the Council has done violates our most sacred principles of governance, Veros explained. And because I believe this conflict, if unchecked, will spread beyond humanity to consume many innocent civilizations. What are you offering, Ambassador? Elena asked directly. Information, Varos replied. Council fleet movements, defense protocols, and most importantly, the location of their central command structure during this operation. Elena studied the alien diplomat carefully. And in return? In return, I ask only that when humanity achieves victory, and I believe you will, you remember that not all members of the Council were your enemies. It was a gamble, trusting the ambassador. But Phoenix Protocol had always included provisions for exploiting political divisions within the Galactic Council. With Varos's intelligence and humanity's new weapons, they had a fighting chance. The Battle of Io would prove to be the turning point. The mining facility, established in a distant star system, rich in rare minerals, had been one of humanity's most productive colonies. Now it was occupied by a significant council force that had enslaved the human miners and was using the facility to produce materials for their war effort. Elena led the attack personally from the bridge of the Thermopylae. 30 stealth fighters equipped with plasma scorchers approached the council fleet under complete communications blackout. Dr. Patel monitored the weapon systems from a specialized console, ready to make adjustments if the experimental technology malfunctioned. All vessels in position, Marcus reported quietly. Awaiting your command. Elena took a deep breath. Release the nanoswarm. From the belly of the Thermopylae, thousands of microscopic robots were launched into space, propelled toward the unsuspecting council fleet. Invisible to conventional sensors, the swarm infiltrated the enemy vessels through external vents and microscopic hull imperfections. For 5 tense minutes, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the council ships began to experience system failures. Communications went dark. Weapon targeting systems malfunctioned. Navigation controls became erratic. Swarm has achieved 80% penetration, Dr. Patel reported. Their central command vessel is still partially operational. All fighters, engage, Elena ordered. Primary targets are their heavy cruisers. Thermopylae will take the command vessel. What followed was unlike any space battle in human history. The plasma scorchers cut through the Council's advanced shields with terrifying efficiency, turning their most powerful defensive technology into a liability as the plasma energy caused cascade failures throughout their systems. The Council vessels, unable to coordinate their response due to the nanoswarm's disruption, were devastated by the human attack. Within 30 minutes, 25 of the 30 Council ships had been disabled or destroyed, with minimal losses to the human fleet. As the Thermopylae approached the Council command vessel, Elena opened a communication channel. This is General Elena Reyes of Earth Defense Force. Your fleet is defeated. Surrender your vessel and release all human prisoners from the Io facility. The face that appeared on the screen was not the ship's commander, but High Counselor Zekathara himself. His silver features contorted with rage. This treachery will not save your species, he snarled. The full might of the Council will descend upon your worlds. We will burn Earth to ash, rather than allow your kind to threaten galactic stability. You declared this war, Elena replied coldly. We're simply better at fighting it than you expected. This is your final warning. Surrender or be destroyed. Zekathara's response was to cut the transmission and attempt to engage the vessel's self-destruct sequence. But the nanoswarm had penetrated too deeply into their systems. They're powering up their jump drive, Dr. Patel warned. They're trying to escape. Not today, Elena said grimly. Target their engine core with the plasma scorcher. The Thermopylae fired a single, concentrated burst of superheated plasma that bypassed the Council vessel's remaining shields and struck its power core directly. The resulting explosion tore the massive ship apart from within, leaving nothing but debris floating in the void. As news of the victory at Io spread through secure quantum channels to other human forces in hiding, Phoenix Protocol entered its next phase. The Resistance Network, a coalition of civilian hackers, intelligence operatives, and sympathetic aliens, began coordinated strikes against Council information systems. Ambassador Varos proved invaluable, providing access codes that allowed human agents to infiltrate the Council's secure communication networks. Misinformation was planted, causing Council fleets to deploy to systems where no human forces existed, while the real counterattack struck elsewhere. For the next 3 months, humanity fought from the shadows. The nanoswarm technology was mass-produced and deployed throughout Council space, creating a hidden network of surveillance and sabotage. The plasma scorcher was refined by Dr. Patel's team, becoming more efficient and controllable with each iteration. Elena established her headquarters on a mobile fleet of stealth carriers that never stayed in one location for more than 12 hours. From this constantly moving command center, she coordinated a guerrilla war that gradually wore down the Council's numerical advantage. But Zekathara was not idle. Having underestimated humanity once, he was determined not to do so again. The Council began developing countermeasures against the nanoswarm and adapting their shield technology to resist the plasma scorchers. "They're learning," Dr. Patel observed grimly during a strategy session. "Each engagement lasts longer than the last. Our technological advantage is eroding. Then we need to end this before they can fully adapt." Elena decided. It's time for the final phase. The Stygia Rift was a treacherous region of space where the fabric of reality itself was thin, creating unpredictable gravitational anomalies and deadly radiation storms. It was also where, according to Ambassador Veros, the Council had established their forward command center, a massive space station coordinating all operations against humanity. "They chose the location specifically because it's nearly impossible to navigate," Veros explained. "The interference from the rift masks their presence and disrupts most scanning technology." "But not all of it," Dr. Patel interjected. "Our quantum resonance detectors should be able to map a safe path through the distortions." "How many ships do we have left?" Elena asked Marcus. 1,200 combat-ready vessels spread across 17 hidden bases, he reported. "We can assemble them all for a single, coordinated strike, but it would leave our remaining colonies completely vulnerable. If we succeed, they won't need defending anymore," Elena pointed out. "And if we fail, a few defensive vessels won't make any difference." She turned to the holographic display, showing the Stygia Rift. "This ends now, one way or another." The plan was audacious even by the standards of Phoenix Protocol. While the main human fleet engaged the 500 Council vessels protecting their command station, a small strike team led by Elena herself would infiltrate the station using a captured Council shuttle provided by Ambassador Veros. The shuttle had been modified with human stealth technology and carried a specially designed version of the nanoswarm, programmed to target the station's life support and defense systems. Once inside, Elena's team would fight their way to the central control room and upload a virus that would turn the station's powerful communication array into a weapon, broadcasting a signal that would activate every nanoswarm particle already deployed throughout Council space. "It's a suicide mission," Marcus argued, when Elena revealed she would be leading the infiltration team personally. "Maybe," she acknowledged, "but no one else knows the nanoswarm programming as well as I do, except for Dr. Patel, and she's needed to coordinate the fleet's weapon systems." "Then I'm coming with you," Marcus stated firmly. Elena started to object, then saw the determination in his eyes. "Fine, but we keep the team small, just you, me, and 3 combat specialists." The Battle of the Stygia Rift began with a massive quantum jump that brought the entire human fleet into the outskirts of the turbulent region simultaneously. The Council defenders, despite their vigilance, were caught by surprise by both the size of the human force and their ability to navigate the treacherous space. As the two fleets engaged in what would become the largest space battle in galactic history, Elena's small shuttle slipped through the chaos, its stolen identification codes allowing it to approach the massive Council station unchallenged. "Docking protocols accepted," Marcus reported as they maneuvered toward a maintenance bay. "They think we're a supply vessel. That illusion won't last long, Elena replied, checking her plasma rifle. Be ready for heavy resistance once we're inside. The five-person team moved swiftly through the station's service corridors, guided by schematics provided by Ambassador Veros. The nanoswarm, released immediately upon their entry, began its invisible work disrupting security systems and creating false alarms to draw defenders away from their path. But the Council's security was formidable. Twice they were forced into firefights with guard patrols, the advanced plasma weapons cutting through bulkheads as both sides sought cover. Central control is 2 levels up, Elena said, as they regrouped after the second skirmish. The main lift is too well guarded. We'll have to find another way. The environmental maintenance shafts might work, suggested Sergeant Rivera, one of the combat specialists. They run throughout the station. With time running short, they forced open an access panel and began climbing through the narrow maintenance shafts. Outside, the battle raged with increasing intensity. The human fleet was holding its own thanks to the plasma scorchers, but Council reinforcements were arriving every hour. Finally reaching the level, housing the central control room, Elena's team emerged into a wide corridor and found themselves face to face with High Counselor Zekathara himself, surrounded by a dozen elite guards. General Reyes. The alien leader's voice was cold. I suspected you might attempt something foolish, but this exceeds even my expectations. It's over, Zekathara, Elena replied, her weapon trained on the High Counselor. Your forces are being decimated outside, and this station is compromised from within. You refer to your primitive nanomachines? Zekathara scoffed. We isolated them as soon as you boarded. Did you really think we wouldn't adapt to your tricks? Elena smiled thinly. Actually, I was counting on it. She fired, not at Zekathara, but at a small environmental control panel on the wall behind him. The plasma burst ruptured a coolant line, filling the corridor with a dense, obscuring gas. In the confusion, Elena and her team attacked. The battle was chaotic and brutal. 2 of Elena's specialists fell to the Council Guard's weapons, but the remaining humans fought with desperate intensity. Marcus covered Elena as she broke through the enemy line and sprinted toward the central control room. Inside, she found what she was looking for: the Central Communication Array, the most powerful transmitter in this sector of the galaxy. As Council security forces pounded on the sealed door, Elena worked feverishly to upload the special command sequence Dr. Patel had designed. Elena, hurry! Marcus called over the comm as he held the corridor with Sergeant Rivera. They're bringing up heavy cutting equipment. Almost there, she responded, fingers flying over the alien interface. Just need to override their final firewall. The door began to glow red as the Council forces applied their cutting tools. They had minutes, perhaps seconds, before they broke through. Upload complete, Elena announced. Initiating broadcast. The station hummed as its massive communication array powered up, broadcasting a signal that would reach every corner of Council space. Every nanoswarm particle that had infiltrated Council technology over the past months, and there were billions, received new programming. Throughout the galaxy, Council vessels suddenly lost all power. Defense systems failed. Life support began to shut down. The tiny machines, previously focused on surveillance and minor sabotage, now executed their final protocol: systematic destruction of critical systems. In the control room, Elena placed a small device on the central console, a specialized plasma charge designed by Dr. Patel. Time to go, she told Marcus over the comm. Meet me at extraction point B. The shuttle bay is cut off, he replied, the sound of weapons fire in the background. We can't get back the way we came. I know, Elena said grimly. That's why we have a backup plan. Get to the emergency escape pods in Section 14. As the door finally gave way and Council forces poured into the control room, Elena was already gone, having slipped out through a maintenance access behind the main console. The plasma charge she left behind began to pulse with increasing frequency. Elena, Marcus, and Rivera fought their way to the escape pod section, sustaining injuries but pressing forward with grim determination. They reached the pods just as alarms began to wail throughout the station. "What's happening?" Rivera asked, as they sealed themselves into a pod. "The plasma charge is destabilizing the station's core," Elena explained, initiating the launch sequence. "When it detonates, it will create a chain reaction in the rift itself." The pod ejected from the station, accelerating rapidly away from the massive structure. Through the viewport, they could see the human fleet also withdrawing, pulling back from their engagement with the confused and increasingly disabled Council vessels. "All ships, clear the rift," Elena transmitted on the secure human frequency. "I repeat, all ships withdraw immediately." Behind them, the Council command station began to break apart as the plasma charge detonated. But that was just the beginning. The explosion created a cascade effect in the unstable region of the Stygia Rift, generating a massive shockwave of energy that expanded outward. The human fleet, forewarned, had withdrawn to a safe distance. The Council vessels, many disabled by the nanoswarm, and the rest caught by surprise, were engulfed by the shockwave. Their advanced shields, designed to repel conventional weapons, offered no protection against the fundamental distortion of space-time itself. When it was over, the Stygia Rift had expanded by several light-years, and the Council fleet was gone, 500 ships erased from existence in a single, cataclysmic moment. The devastating defeat at the Stygia Rift broke the Council's offensive capability. With their central command destroyed and their fleets in disarray, the 17 member species fell into confusion and recrimination. Some blamed Zekathara's aggressive policy for provoking humanity's devastating response. Others feared that the nanoswarm now lurking in their technology might activate again at any moment. Reports of the battle spread rapidly through quantum communications, reaching even the most distant Council worlds. The myth of the Council's invincibility had been shattered, and with it, their unity of purpose. Elena's escape pod was recovered by a human destroyer that had remained at the edge of the rift. As she was brought aboard, battered but alive, the ship's captain delivered the news. Council forces were in full retreat across all fronts. Long-range sensors showed them withdrawing to their core systems, abandoning the offensive against humanity. "They're running scared," Marcus observed from his medical bed, where doctors treated a plasma burn on his shoulder. "With good reason," Elena replied. "They started this war thinking we were primitive and weak. They never imagined we could hit them so hard they'd feel it across the galaxy." Over the next month, as humanity began the process of reclaiming and rebuilding its colonies, Ambassador Veros facilitated communication with moderate factions within the Council. The extremist faction, led by Zekathara, had been discredited by the catastrophic defeat, opening the door for diplomatic solutions. Elena, now promoted to Admiral and named Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces, led the human delegation to the peace negotiations. The meeting was held on Earth itself, a symbolic acknowledgement of humanity's new status in galactic affairs. Representatives from 15 of the 17 Council species attended, notable absences being the Vorthax, represented by Veros independently, and the Krex, Zekathara's species, who had withdrawn into isolation following their leader's death. The peace treaty that emerged from these negotiations formalized humanity's right to continue its expansion and established new protocols for interaction between Earth and the former Council worlds. The Galactic Council itself was dissolved, replaced by a new organization, the Interstellar Concordat, in which humanity would have an equal voice. 6 months after the Battle of the Stygia Rift, Elena stood before the newly formed Earth Federation Assembly, a unified government that had emerged from the crucible of the war, bringing together all human colonies under a single democratic authority. "The war with the Galactic Council taught us many things," she addressed the assembled delegates, her voice carrying to the billions watching the transmission across 30 worlds. "It taught us that we are stronger than we knew, It taught us that technology alone does not determine victory. Courage, adaptability, and determination are weapons no enemy can counter. She paused, looking out at the diverse faces before her, representatives of Earth and all its colonies, united as never before. But most importantly, it taught us that power must be tempered with wisdom. We defeated the Council not just through force of arms, but by turning their arrogance against them. They believed themselves invincible and saw us as beneath them, unworthy of respect or consideration. That was their fatal mistake. Ambassador Veros, now the Vorthax representative to Earth, nodded in solemn agreement from his place of honor near the podium. As we move forward into this new era of galactic citizenship, Elena continued, we must remember that lesson. Humanity will not be confined. We will not be restrained. But neither will we become what we fought against. Our place is among the stars, not as conquerors, but as explorers and builders of a more just order. The assembly erupted in applause as Elena concluded her address. Outside the Grand Hall, the night sky of Earth was visible through massive transparent domes. The same stars that had once seemed so distant and unreachable now peppered with the lights of human vessels coming and going freely. The Galactic Council had declared war on humanity, intending to confine them to their home system forever. Instead, they had catalyzed humanity's transformation into a unified, technologically advanced civilization that now stood as an equal among the oldest species in the galaxy. As Elena gazed up at those stars, she thought about the cost of that transformation. The lives lost at Orion Station, the devastation at the frontier colonies, the desperate battles fought against overwhelming odds. But she also thought about what had been gained. Not just survival, but the right to determine their own destiny among the stars. The Council had tried to burn humanity's ambitions to ash. Instead, humanity had risen from those ashes, stronger and more united than ever before, like the phoenix of ancient Earth legend, reborn through fire to soar higher than ever before. And the galaxy would never be the same again.